Okay, so the question has come up now, what is the volume of a different shape? So it's when we look at prismatic shapes, and we've already done this with the cube, is we find out, well, how many cubes are in the first layer, right? So we figured out that there were 3 times 3, there's 9 cubes in the top layer, right? And then there are how many layers? 3 layers. So I said 9 times 3 would be 27 total cubes. So the same idea is used for all prismatic shapes. So when I look at a triangle, for example, a triangular prism, that might look something like this. All I have to do is actually find how many cubes are in the top layer. And the number of cubes in the first one layer, right, if this is 1 inch or whatever, 1 inch, then I would just find the area of that base, right? So the area of that base I could find by multiplying the base times the height and dividing by 2, or 1/2 of the base times the height. And I'd find the area, so how many square inches are on the top layer. And the number of square inches on the top layer is exactly the same as the number of cubes on the top layer, right? So the number of squares on the square surface on the top layer is the same as the number of cubes in the first layer, right? So all I have to do is multiply that number, whatever that area is, so area of the base, and then I multiply it times the number of layers, right? So that layer, that layer, that layer. So if there was 5 layers, for example, 5 inches, then I would multiply the area of that base times the height, or 5 inches. So in this case, we'll just call this 3 and the height 3. I don't know if this works. So 3 times 3 divided by 2 would be 9 divided by 2. So 4.5 would be the area of the base. And I multiply it times the height, which is 5. So the volume, and remember the area is in inches squared, square inches, and the height is a length, it's one-dimensional in inches. So I multiply 4.5 inches squared times 5 inches, and I get inches squared times inches. If I take something squared times another of itself, makes it cubed, right? So inches cubed, and then 4.5 times 5. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, and half times 5 is 2.5. So it'll be 22.5. Is my guess. That's just my estimate, but let's make sure. Pull out the calculator. I'm never good at arithmetic, as you may have noticed. Oh, I was right. Okay, so 22.5 is the volume of this triangular prism, and it would be true of any prismatic shape. So if I was given a pentagonal prism, all I do is find the area of the base and I multiply it by its height. If it's a circular prism, or the fancy word is cylinder, right? I find the area of the base and I multiply it by its height. So if I find the area of the base is pi r squared, right? And then I multiply it times the number of layers, which is just the length, right? The height of that cylinder. So pi r squared times h. And you'll see this formula in all sorts of books, but I want you to understand where it comes from, right? It comes from finding the area of that first layer and multiplying it times the number of layers. And it's true for all prisms. So it's fairly simple when you put it together in that way.